Mitikai Oresin, I wish to speak to you today about ethical dilemmas, thought experiments, if you will, that have been presented to philosophy students and psychological students and just internet readers and people throughout the years. An ethical dilemma of right and wrong. What do you think is right and wrong? What should you do? And before I go into this, I should tell you that morality and ethics, while similar, are not synonymous. Morality is your personal conception of what is right and wrong, whereas ethics are at least an attempt to codify some rules as to what is right or wrong. You might even call morality personal ethics. So maybe these are more properly named morality experiments, not ethical dilemmas, but morality dilemmas. So the first one that I was introduced to, I was a student at St. Joe's University in Philadelphia, Moral Philosophy 101, name of the class, conducted by a Jesuit priest. And the experiment is this. You go to bed one night, everything is fine in your world, everything's hunky-dory. You wake up the next morning to find out, this is the most absurd scenario, that your home has been invaded by a group of scientists and doctors. They bring along a whole bunch of equipment and a comatose man. They hook you up to the man intravenously, and the only way the man's going to survive is that the intravenous hookup remains in place. The second you pull it out is the second he dies. And then they give you the choice. Then they say, hey, you've got agency. What are you going to do? You're going to let him live and thus make you a prisoner in your room, where you have to share it with all these scientists and equipment for the rest of your life? Or do you pull the plug, pull the tube, and let the man die? There are variations on this. Maybe the man will wake up from the coma, maybe, with the intravenous treatment. Maybe you're old and your time on earth is limited and the comatose person is a kid. And once again, who knows? Maybe he will wake up. Maybe the person who is comatose is a national leader, and by keeping him alive, you're actually preventing a war. And by keeping him alive while he's hooked up to you, that allows more time at the negotiating table between the two nations, and the prevention of the war could become a permanent thing. There's all sorts of variations on this. The question is, what do you do? Deontologically, which argues that there are acts that are right and there are acts that are wrong, and that's all there is to it. So even though it's wrong that they came in, these eggheads came in and invaded your privacy and did this to you, doesn't really matter. What's done is done. And if you pull out the tube, you're allowing this person to die, therefore it is murder, it is wrong. The utilitarianism point of view, or the consequentialist point of view, is the good of the many outweigh the good of the few, or the one. And even though this is a one-on-one balance, if you go back to the original problem, there's a man and there's you, well, you have the opportunity to perform untold acts of good. You have to earn this, in other words. And the man's comatose. So utilitarianism says you can do much more good by pulling the plug. Myself, I go with the utilitarianism point of view. You can do much more good, and there has been an incredible invasion of privacy. But what if you're an old man, that's a young guy, is a little babe or a toddler, and there's the opportunity of finding a cure while he's tethered to you, although that's not for certain, then what do you do? Well, I'm still inclined to go for the utilitarianism point of view because you don't know how many days you have left. You might have been given a week to live. If you're given a week to live, then for goodness sake, yeah, okay, fine. You can have my blood to keep the toddler alive. But if you don't know that, there's still the opportunity for you to do unlimited good. It's quite a dilemma. I'll talk about this more in the next video. Peace. 4 fingers.